Wednesday morning, excuse me. I'm Stephen McCollum, and I'll learn my days here. But I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. We've got the Market Watch. What's happening is President Trump is officially in China for those summit meetings coming up later on in this week. We'll get you the update there. Of course, wholesale prices reports out this weekend. How's that affecting the market? Well, we'll look at that with the Market Watch. Stocks we're paying attention to, local and national stories that you need to know as well. So appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday. Let's get it going with that Market Watch. Well, it is one of those days again, folks. Everything is down here today. Although the NASDAQ is the one that is higher, renewed chip stock rally we'll talk about later on in the show as well. But right now, Dow Jones is down 200 points, 49,571. S&P 500 is down 3 points to 73.93. The NASDAQ's up 11 points right now to 26,099. That's all that chip stock rally that after yesterday, a big sell-off in the chip stocks. Today, a buyback. We'll talk about that later in the program. Then you got the Russell 2K, that small cap index, down 16 points right now as well to 28.26. And then there's Bitcoin falling underneath that 80,000 level here this morning. 79,569 for Bitcoin here. And it's the first time it's fallen under 80,000, at least substantially, 500 points or so. In about a week now, underneath that 80,000 level. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. We got a couple of them for you. First one we're going to look at is called EchoStar. Yes, the satellite company, etc., 3.70% up right now. Well, the FCC has approved the company's $40 billion sale of their wireless spectrum. Remember this? We had told you about this on McCollum on Business a few months ago. They're selling the wireless spectrum to AT&T and also SpaceX. That has been approved by the FCC officially now. They're selling that 50 megahertz of its spectrum to AT&T and 65 megahertz to SpaceX in those two separate deals. But it is worth $40 billion. FCC's approved it. This deal is going to continue forward. EchoStar with a cash infusion here, 3.76% up based off of the news. And then I didn't even know these shoes still existed, but they do. Birkenstocks, folks. You know Birkenstocks, shoes, right? Sandals. Well, they are down today, 9.35%. Well, it missed estimates on both earnings and revenue in its fiscal second quarter reporting. Well, interesting enough, what they blame it on? The war on the Middle East. It weighed on their growth in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa specifically. Those regions have killed I shouldn't use that term. Those regions have suffered in sales for Birkenstock, which is a big market for them, all three of them. That's why Birkenstocks mixed their numbers, and they're down 9.74% right now. And when we come back later on and look at stocks, well, we're going to look at those chip stocks. We're going to look at Micron and NVIDIA specifically, as those chip stocks are rebounding today after yesterday. Then we'll look at an energy stock called Next Power as well when we come back and look at stocks here in just a little bit. But first, we got to get you updated on a lot of stuff, and then we'll talk president over in, I know I stopped. What a business technical term. We got to get you updated on what's happening in the U.S. economy, and then, of course, President Trump over in China today. But first, we're going to start with the wholesale prices. We got the CPI report yesterday. Well, today we get the wholesale prices, and that report, not much better. Well, in April, the wholesale prices posted their highest annual increase in more than 3 years. Inflation is the problem, also why you see the stock market and the index is being down today as well. So inflation's out there. It's getting worse, according to these reports. And now pipeline costs are getting higher on top of the consumer price index that came out yesterday. So this is the producer price index we're talking about. It rose a seasonally adjusted 1.4% for the month, much higher than the 0.5% Dow Jones consensus forecast expected, and upwardly revised 0.7% March increase, all higher than both of them. This is all from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and their reporting. This was the largest monthly gain, by the way, since March of 2022. Two big inflation reports showing big inflation out there in our marketplace. And like you said yesterday, consumer, we talked about it's not just oil and energy driving it up, it's going into other sectors. So, give you the update here on the wholesale side if we're seeing the same thing. But on an annual basis, the index was up 6%. That's the biggest increase since December of 2022. So, if you want to talk core PPI, that would be exclude food and energy here. Well, it accelerated 1% compared with the 0.4% expectation from the investors out there. So it still accelerated 1% without the really volatile food and energy prices. If you want to exclude food, energy, and then take the trade services out as well, the PPI rose 0.6% with those three categories taken out of it as well. Energy, no shocker, it's at the root of the unexpectedly high gain in producer prices. It just continues to be energy prices, energy prices, energy prices in these reports. Three quarters of the gain in goods prices, it stemmed from a 7.8% jump in final demand energy, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. More than 40% of that was traced to a 15.6% surge in gasoline. Yeah, that was during that month, of course, when prices at the pump went well above $4 a gallon on average, all from the Iran war and the hitting that broader energy index out there and complex as we're dealing with that on multiple levels now. The services index accelerated 1.2%. That's that biggest monthly gain since March of 2022. Two-thirds of that move, it was attributed to a 2.7% ride in trade services. That is telling you tariff costs should be are starting to impact prices here in the marketplace as well. This move was also put together with a 3.5% jump in margins for machinery and equipment wholesaling also. Tariffs are hitting into this number right as the energy prices are sky high hitting these numbers. So two disappointing inflation numbers here over the last 2 days, and kind of roiling the markets here as you see 2 days of indexes being down as well that we are facing here on the marketplace. Then that's not the least of it as well. If you want to buy a house soon, for instance, treasury yields affect the mortgage prices out there, and that's not getting any better either. I told you over the past few shows now that the treasury yields have been going up steadily over the last few weeks. Well, they did go up early this morning in huge numbers. Investors are kind of trying to digest and figure out the implications of both these hotter than expected pricing reports, consumer and wholesale pricing reports from the April month. The yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury note, well, that's the key benchmark for U.S. government bonding, borrowing. That's that 10-year Treasury note. Well, it rose as much as 3 basis points. It hit a high of 4.49%. It's its highest level since July 17th. The 2-year Treasury note yield, which is more closely tracks short-term Federal Reserve interest rate policy, well, it was a basis point higher. It's at 4%. The longer dated 30-year Treasury bond, that's the one more tied to your mortgage rates. Well, it was up 2 basis points. It's at 5.05%. Its highest level since July 17th also. If you don't know the lingo here, 1 basis point is equal to about 0.01%. And yields and prices move in opposite directions when you do talk Treasury yields as well. So we're seeing Treasury yields through the roof as well here with these big reports out there. Now, the president's out there trying to stave off some tariff trade war concerns. He's out there trying to, get help here with the Iran war situation, etc. Well, President Trump did arrive in Beijing this morning for that hugely anticipated talks with the Chinese president, Xi Jinping. Or later on this week, he's going to talk trade. He's going to talk a lot of things, including the Iran war situation as well. U.S. arms sales to Taiwan will be a big subject, or at least planned to be a big subject coming up as well. Well, the summit doesn't start until Thursday, technically, with the Chinese president. That's when those leaders will hold bilateral talks. They'll visit the Temple of Heaven. That's where Chinese emperors once prayed for bumper crops. And they'll even take part in a formal banquet as well during these meetings. Well, the Chinese offered Trump a pomp filled welcome. Once he landed, they rolled out the red carpet for him after Air Force One landed in the Chinese capital. The welcoming ceremony included a military honor guard, a military band, and even some 300 Chinese youth, all waving Chinese and American flags, and they were chanting, "Welcome, welcome, warm welcome." Yeah, Al, as Trump, got out of his plane, walked down the stairs, and went to that waiting limousine for him. The youth greeters were decked out in white and Robin's Eggs blue outfits, which of course matches the paint job of the Air Force One as well. I mean, they brought out a very warm welcome for President Trump. The President Trump is seeking to win here with these bilateral conversations. He wants to sign deals with China to buy more American soybeans, beef, and even aircraft from, of course, Boeing, saying that he'll be talking to Xi about trade more than anything else, is what he says he'll be doing. The Trump administration hopes to begin establishing a board of trade with China. That's all to address differences between the countries when it comes to the trade. The board could help prevent the trade war ignited last year after those tariff hikes from the American president. In action, China countered through its control of rare earth minerals at that time. Now, there's a 1 year truce that happened last October. We're getting closer to October again. So that's the goals over there with these high stake talks. Also, he wants to talk about the Iran war, because China does get a lot of oil from Iran. I've been talking to Iran as well, also. And President Trump, I'm sure that will come up in these conversations, but we'll have to keep our eyes on that moving forward as well. And let's go back to Congress here, specifically the Senate here in the United States. They did officially confirm Kevin Warsh as the Federal Reserve Board of Governors yesterday. That's a big step, obviously, to having him become the central bank's leader. There is another vote needed for that coming up, but he is a governor again. He was a previous governor. I think his last term ended in 2011, so he's back on as a Fed governor as well. The chamber voted 51 to 45 to confirm Warsh to a 14-year term as one of the Fed's 7 governors. As I said, they need to vote separately to confirm him as the chairman of the Board of Governors, who will replace Jerome Powell. His 4-year term as chair, it actually ends this Friday. So that vote is expected later this week. He is expected to get that position as well. He's a controversial pick in a lot of people's eyes. He's been very critical of the Fed and its monetary policy over the years. Warsh is taking the board seat right now, as he just got voted on yesterday, held by Stephen Moran. He was the Trump advisor who was confirmed last September to the board. He filled that vacancy created by an early resignation on the board. Moran's term technically ended in January. He was allowed to remain on the board until his successor was confirmed, which happened yesterday. And if he becomes the Fed chairman, how does that going to change monetary policy coming up here with the federal board here? With anytime you go from one Fed chairman to another, new roles come in. Obviously, President Trump, nominated Jerome Powell as well on top of it. So things will change when it comes to that as well. Interesting changes on that side in this economy that we're in with inflation creeping back up. And some companies are having problems out there. We talk about them all the time. But if you use Waymo or either here in Phoenix where we do the show or in one of its multiple other cities it operates, they're recalling its massive fleet, right? So over 3,000 vehicles of autonomous vehicles over a defect that may pose significant safety risk. Yeah, federal regulators came out with this alert yesterday. This recall follows an incident in which a driverless vehicle failed to come to a complete stop. This was after the vehicle encountered flooded road conditions on a high-speed roadway. This is all, like I said, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration did a big report on this. That report came out on May 6th. The recall covers the 3,791 vehicles equipped with the company's 5th and 6th generation automated driving systems. Those driving systems, they call them ADSs for short. It's regulators estimate have about 100% defect rate as well. So there's issues with that software. According to this report from the National Highway and Traffic Safety, when a Waymo robotaxi approaches standing water on higher speed roads, it may slow down, but it will fail to come to a full stop after it detects the water. Federal regulators said the first incident occurred on April 20th. That was when an unoccupied Waymo vehicle encountered an untraversable flooded section of roadway with the 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. And it actually went into that water, got stuck. The same day, Waymo implemented additional restrictions to reduce the risk of a similar incident inside of inclement weather, including updates to weather-related controls and changes mapping systems used by its vehicles. So they kind of already put it into effect already. All affected vehicles received an interim software update by April 20th of this year. But then, still, they initiated the recall on April 24th to bring the cars back in and work on some more corrections. We're headed into our monsoon season. And, we tend to flood here in Phoenix as well. So that is happening around Waymo as well. Robert chimes in and says, I love Waymo. Drivers aren't chatty. If the drivers were chatty, would you be concerned if the car talked to you and chatted your ear off? Hey, if you're traveling this summer, well, one less worry out there, and that's a strike from United Airlines. Because United Airlines flight attendants did approve that 5-year labor contract with 31% average raises to base pay by August. They've got other improvements in the deal. That's the highlight there, marking the last of the major carriers with unionized flight crews to reach a deal post-COVID. Yeah, United was the final one. We were waiting on for that deal to get done. The labor deal would give United's about 30,000 flight attendants. Well, it's going to be their first raises in close to 6 years. The company and the flight attendants union reached the preliminary deal back in March. Well, crews had rejected a contract last year. They reached this new one in March. Well, now the union said the contract won 82% approval from the flight attendants. 90% of the flight attendants, roughly, just underneath 90%, actually voted in this. The contract includes boarding pay, which means now they will be paid when the aircraft's doors open. Before, they did not. They got paid once the doors shut and everything. So they are getting the boarding pay, which all the airlines get now. Airlines had for years started the flight attendant's pay clock once the door was closed. And like I said, I believe every airline now pays them when they're actually on the plane. The contract comes with a roughly 7 to 8% increase in compensation, $741 million in back pay as well. Well, quality life improvements, things like restrictions on red-eye flights, sick pay during disruptions of more than 2.5 hours. So, if a snowstorm rolls through and the flight can't take off or mechanical problems and they sit for longer than 2.5 hours, well, they get extra pay. They get paid at that time. In the past, they just simply didn't get paid then. Robert Ann says, is the card talking like Kit? If so, I would be okay with that. You mean Mr. Feeney? If the car is talking like Mr. Feeney? Yes. That would be I would like that as well. That would be a comforting sound of the Kit sound on the Waymos. Hey, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling as well. Appreciate you catching us here on TME Media AZ on YouTube. Of course, Robat TV as well. Appreciate it very much. Well, when we come back, we'll get you updated on what's happening around here and get into the local stories you need to know. So come on back. McCollum on Business, Wednesday edition. here, McCollum on Business, Wednesday edition. Appreciate you joining us. We're here Monday through Friday, as long as the markets are open, 7 a.m. here as well. As soon as we're done here, we get the show up on demand on the YouTube page. We appreciate you following us here at TME Media AZ. A new thing we're doing as well as Robat TV for those of you with your subscriptions. We appreciate it very much. Of course, follow TME Media AZ also, not just the YouTube page, but on X as well. That's just our parent company. We do our show postings, let you know what's happening around here with the company as well. So follow TME Media AZ on X. We greatly appreciate that. Of course, all of our shows, once we're done live, well, they're on demand as well on the YouTube channel, on Robat TV, and on Rumble. And the Rumble does include The Real Matrix. That's where you can find the episodes of The Real Matrix every Friday at noon. New episodes come out. The Angry Patriot gets you. He wants to open your mind to the world that's happening. He just asks you come with an open mind and don't question, but come and get the information that he presents to you out there. Fridays at noon. All the episodes are on Rumble. Rumble.com/user/TME Media is where you can find that as well. Pit Stop being recorded later on today as well. It'll be up on demand later on. Of course, race based there. NASCAR this weekend, IndyCar race last week at the Indy Road Course. They're off Indy now until the Indianapolis 500 in a couple weeks with testing, practice, qualifying. Carb Day coming up there for the Indianapolis 500. NASCAR, well, they go into their All-Star race this weekend. We'll cover all of that on the Pit Stop. It'll be up by 2 p.m. today on the YouTube as well as Robat and Rumble as well later on today. Don't forget, the Pit Stop Talk is the social media site for the Pit Stop. Just search The Real Matrix Angry Patriot for the podcast version of that if you prefer listening to the shows. Then you got the main event coming up live 8 to 10 a.m. Here today. We get you caught up around the sports world. Well, Diamondbacks starting pitching has been really good. Well, until last night. Talk about all of that, NBA, NHL playoffs as well. Knights won another big one over the Ducks last night. Kind of my favorite series that we are watching out there in the hockey side of it. So come join me and Dale Hellestrae, 17-year NFL veteran, 8 to 10 a.m., both live on Robat TV and on YouTube, TME Media AZ as well. You're going to want to follow that YouTube page, folks, as we got a bunch of things coming your way. I have a meeting later on today talking about some additional things and ideas coming to the channel as well there on the YouTube page. So with all that being said, folks, let's get back into that Market Watch. The S&P 500 seems to be teetering a little bit and coming back to the positive as, yes, it is up 8 points right now, right? But the Dow Jones still down 151 points. Here, about an hour into the trading day, S&P 500's flipped. It's 11 points up right now. NASDAQ's 102 points up right now as well. They're rallying around the chip stocks that had a big sell-off yesterday. We're going to look at a couple of those chip stocks here in just a minute. But obviously, what's kind of lagging the market down, including the Russell 2K today, it's down 13 points, is simply wholesale prices jumping higher than expected. Hot inflation report today. Yesterday's consumer price index. Yesterday, both hot numbers, kind of fluctuating around this market. And then there's Bitcoin down below 80,000 today at 79,768. But it was over 1,000 down earlier when we looked at it. Well, it's only 721 points down now. So coming back to the even side on Bitcoin as well. Just these hot inflation reports are a big concern around these markets. Stocks we're paying attention to, well, I told you we're going to look at technology companies, stocks out there around chips. Micron's the first one we're going to look at as well. This whole industry had a decline, basically, except for a couple companies. NVIDIA having a positive day yesterday. Micron, though, was down, and the whole segment for a whole was down yesterday as well. Micron actually fell more than 3.5% yesterday, and it was after a 23% two-day rally before that. Well, it's up 2.53% right now. There has been a sell-off as the market's been open. It actually opened on the market today about 5%, so it's come down a little bit. Now let's look at NVIDIA as well in this agency. I told you NVIDIA was one of only a couple of these chip stocks that were up yesterday. All the other ones were down. Well, it's up today again, 1.15% here on Tuesday also. And, chip stocks coming back, and that's what's leading the NASDAQ up today after that sell off day yesterday. Then there's an energy stock out there called Next Power. We're going to take a look at. Well, they are up today 14.86% it just changed to. They raised its full year revenue guidance and went to a range of 3.8 to 4.1 billion dollars. It previously had estimated a range between 3.6 and 3.8 billion dollars. They adjusted up big here as well. The company posted fiscal fourth quarter adjusted earnings and revenue, and that did beat analysts' expectations. Next Power up big today, 14.74%, based off of good future guidance coming from them as well. As an energy stock, which energy stocks are hit or miss right now. As oil prices go up, which oil prices are steady today, but as oil prices go up and things, energy stocks tend to go up as well with more income. As those things are going down, the energy stocks tend to go down. So kind of volatile out there, but big numbers from Next Power here today on the market as well. And let's get into some local stories we need to know and tell you about. Um, the interesting thing here is you have to excuse me, my computer's messed up here, which is always fun. Over in the East Valley, a mainstay in the East Valley out there called, well, hey, folks, sometimes you wake up and it just doesn't go your way. If only you could see what I'm seeing right now. But Serrano's Mexican restaurants in the East Valley, well, they're set to close one of its Mesa locations coming up here in the next couple of weeks. They've served that East Valley at that location for more than 30 years. It's a family owned restaurant, but they announced on its social media platforms that it's going to close that McKellips Road location on May 16th. So only a few more days, 3 more days before that closes. And I wanted to just, if you're a fan of Serrano's, they're not all closing. This specific location is 3 more days to visit that long standing location. They said that, they are a family owned business, and they said the decision was made thoughtfully. They did mention that a gradual decline in business, rising operating costs, and even ongoing road construction in front of the restaurant is what's dooming this restaurant specifically, and that's hindered guest visits over the past several months at that restaurant. The other locations will remain open. There's one on Power Road. There's one down in Queen Creek, and there's one on Dobson, I believe. Maybe it's McClintock. But the other restaurants are staying open, just this location, for 3 days if you're out in that area to stop in on that long standing restaurant. And hey, you want to travel to wine country? This is an interesting story. There's one fact about Alaska Airlines, and I don't know if the other airlines do it. I didn't look at it, but I'll tell you about here coming up. But Alaska Airlines is going to be adding nonstop flights between Santa Rosa, Sonoma, California, and Phoenix later this year. It's going to be a nonstop flight. Um, I thought for a minute the door on that plane was open on that picture, just the wingtip. It's going to be a nonstop flight between the Valley and California's wine country. It's going to begin November 1st, last until April 21st of next year. This new flight will be available on an E-175 aircraft. And if you're traveling to that Santa Rosa Sonoma airport for the wine, this is the fact that kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know if the other airlines do it. So if the other ones do, and I don't know, I don't care. I don't go around with a bunch of wine, to be honest with you. But Alaska Airlines has a wine flies free program. Yeah. It allows Atmos Awards members, which is their awards program, to check an entire case, which is up to 12 bottles, for free and travel for free on their airlines. You don't have to pay a baggage fee for it out there. Do other airlines do that? I found that fascinating about this Alaska Airlines story. That they'll do that for you. Fly with us. Your booze flies free. Hey, yesterday it was announced TK Group Holdings, who's the parent company of WWE, UFC, PBR, a couple boxing entities as well. The slap fighting thing, which I can't stand, where you slap somebody. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Well, they got together with the Arizona Sports and Events Alliance. They announced a multi-year agreement. It's going to stage a series of premier UFC, WWE, PBR, and Zuffa boxing events here in Arizona. It's a 7 event agreement over 3 years. It'll feature some of TKO's most high profile live events. Obviously, if you UFC get to experience a UFC fight, like a real UFC fight, not one of those offshoot companies here as well. Some WWE stuff I've seen reported on, but nothing officially out there. WW PBR has been here multiple times, and not so much lately. They come, I think, once a year, maybe twice a year now, so not as often. Maybe we'll get some more of those high-profile things as well. So, any additional details, event-specific information, dates, ticket information, well, that'll all be shared at a later date. But I did see some reporting yesterday from some trusted sources in the WWE world. And they're reporting that Royal Rumble, Saturday Night Main Event, and Survivor Series, those are the three large events with WWE that are scheduled to come here to Phoenix. Those are big events out there. Obviously, Royal Rumble. It's not the big dog as in WrestleMania, but Royal Rumble was been here before. I want to say Royal Rumble, he was here like 8-9 years ago now, maybe 10 years ago. I forget on the time frame. But love that event. That was fun to be there down at the Chase Field there. But Survivor Series. So we'll see. Do we get a UFC numbered event, or do we just get a fight night event? So I'll have to stay tuned on that. But some big time events coming to the Valley here. 7 of them over the next 3 years. And we told you a couple weeks ago about pickle and Smoothie King. Yes, we got some updates for you here on what the ingredients are. Went on sale yesterday. Yeah, Smoothie King's rolling out that new limited edition pickle smoothie. It's all in collaboration with Grillo's Pickles, which is a Massachusetts-based pickles company. They said as temperatures rise and hydration takes center stage, come grab your Smoothie King Grillo's Pickles smoothie. Yeah. They said it's made with simple, garden-fresh ingredients, no artificial anything, according to Smoothie King. So here's the update for you. It is available as of yesterday. Ingredients include Grillo's pickle spears, you would think, bananas, organic kale, apple juice blend, kiwi apple juice blend, electrolyte blend, coconut water. Well, it contains coconut tree nuts as well. There. That's the ingredients for there. I ain't going to lie to you. I don't know how that tastes. I'm probably going to have to go try one of these. We'll do a review, right, which is why you need to follow TME Media AZ also on YouTube. We're going to be doing things like this, offshoots away from the studio, and you're going to want to be a part of that as well. So as I said, nationwide available as of yesterday out there, $5.99 for a 20-ounce smoothie. What are you looking at? But coming up on May 16th, that's International Pickle Day. Customers can also enjoy a free 4-ounce pickle smoothie available at the stores while supplies last. So mark your calendars for May 16th, pickle fans. But after seeing those ingredients, I wanted to pass them along to you. And as I said, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about it in the first place. I'm definitely not sure about it. So if you tried it yesterday or today, hit me up and let me know how you feel about it. I'll have to get over to the Smoothie King by me and maybe place an order, do a review on it out there. Kind of scared to do it, to be honest with you. Hey, we got the main event coming up here live, 8 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to follow us, TME Sports Show on X, TME Media AZ on Robat TV as well. Folks, it's going to be a fun show, so come and join us. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday's edition, McCollum on Business. Make sure you join us. We'll keep you updated on the president's travels over there in China, how that affects the markets, any inflationary reports. Make sure you come back and join us as well. Join the chat on YouTube, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Stay cool.